Oh, yeah. I've had many people steal from the business over the years. I had a GM that was
Steal.
a GM who was using our staff, our resources, and even our cash at bank to pay for their media spend for their other side hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to the pod where we discuss entrepreneurship and how we can help business leaders and business owners scale from 6 figures to 7 figures and even 8 figures. And today I've got Nick Bell, my friend and also business partner for Primal, here with me today.
Thanks for having me. This is your first episode.
Yeah.
So I'm very honored to be here.
Honored to have you here. Excellent. So tell me, Nick, at the moment, how do you spend your time? What businesses are you working on?
I'm fighting fires at the moment. I'm cleaning up messes.
Yeah.
So as you know, the agency game is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables in agencies. So at the moment, my role is to expand the group, both locally in Australia and internationally.
Yeah.
So as you're aware, we're looking to buy an agency in Indonesia, and we're looking to open an office in Austria, and we're buying agencies locally. So my job is to expand, and then hopefully I've got very good people, which not hopefully, I know I've got very good people running each agency.
Yeah.
So they do it, they run it. My job is just to grow.
Yeah. So agencies, it's a very tough business to run.
Mate, they are. I don't know why I do agencies. How hard are they? They're so bloody hard.
Yeah. It's all about people, right?
It's all about people, but there's a lot of variables and they're very fickle.
Yeah.
And I always say, if you can do an agency, you can do it well. You can almost run any business.
Yeah.
But I know I'm a sucker for punishment, so I stick with agencies.
Yeah. How did you first get into agencies? It wasn't your first business, right?
No, I needed money. That's why I got into agencies. So initially, I had a skincare business. It was an e-commerce business. This is going back. What's that? 2004. So
you were 24, I think.
24, yeah, at the time. And I had a few challenges with the manufacturer and my business partner at the time. And I thought, fuck, after 4 years of slogging it away, I need some cash.
Yeah.
And then the good thing about agencies, to start one, really, you don't need a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
You need a website, you need a phone, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You can outsource the work initially overseas if you want to.
It's almost too easy to start.
It's almost too easy. And that's why there's an agency on every corner.
Yeah.
Especially in Australia. I don't know about Thailand.
There's digital gurus everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was one of those guys. So I needed some income, and I did know digital quite well from the e-commerce business I had.
Yeah.
So I thought, look, as a side hustle, I'll start an agency, and I use that term loosely.
Yeah.
It was me in my underwear in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then I just started cold calling people, and then grew the business organically that way.
Yeah.
And then it became a full-time job, and then the e-commerce business it kind of died. I had a bit of a falling out with my business partner.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, never date your business partner.
Yeah.
That's the rule of thumb. Never date your business partner.
That's a whole
different topic. Let's not go down it.
So the first agency was WME, right? Web marketing experts in Australia, which I actually was working with you there.
For those who don't know,
Primal.
Mark was a Google Ads specialist, I believe, at WME. And then I think Mark goes, I want to head back to Thailand. Let's take your concept, or not my concept, just the business model back to Thailand. Right. And then that's how Primal was born. Yeah. And look at Primal today. It's an absolute beast of a business.
Yeah. It's been a really tough journey. It's been almost 8 years now.
It's been 8 years now.
Yeah, it's almost 8 years.
I can see more grey hairs on your head. I just that's from running agencies.
Yeah. Very, very stressful. And so you eventually ended up selling WME, right? For, I believe it was...
So we sold WME in 2017 for 39 million.
Yeah.
Which was quite surprising, because I think in 2014 or 15, I was going to shut the business down.
Yeah.
I had enough of agencies.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit, maybe burnt out. It was just, the business was imploding within due to a lack of processes and systems. Yeah. And I thought, fuck, I might just go on a permanent holiday and walk away from this business. Yeah. I didn't, luckily. Yeah. And then turned the business around, because the business was going backwards at the time. Turned it around. And then on it 2 years later, ended up selling it for, 39 million. Yeah. So it was a good result in the end.
Sure. And then you've jumped back into agencies later.
And then when I sold WME, I thought, I'm going to exit agencies permanently.
Yeah.
But I still had a few in Asia.
Okay.
And I thought, look, I've got these agencies. They're on life support. Should I revive them? Yeah. Or let them die? And I was on holiday in Chile with my wife, and I thought, yeah, I want to try and revive these agencies and get them back to a decent level. So I revived them, and then I just got sucked back into the game. And then fast forward, how many years that? Almost 6 years later, we're literally very, very deep in the agency game now. So there's about, I think, 15 in the group.
Wow. That's very impressive. And
thanks to you. So, Primal, Thailand, Malaysia.
We're a small piece of
you're a vital piece of the pie.
And like, would you have any advice for, people potentially looking to get into the agency game? Like, is now a good time? Is it still a good business to start?
It's always a good time.
Yeah.
We started our first agency in 2008 during the GFC. And when I came into the market, what I was offering wasn't special.
Yeah.
But the agencies that were currently existing on the market, they were overcharging clients, offered no performance KPIs or guarantees. And I just came in and I undercut everyone.
Yeah.
I said, if I can't deliver XYZ, you don't have to pay me. So basically it made it such an easy sell. So the key to starting a business, not just an agency, is have a very strong, unique selling point where people cannot resist your offer. And with me, I'm competing with someone who's charging $10,000 a month. I was charging $2,000 a month and offering guarantees.
Yeah.
They weren't. Very easy to sell.
Yeah. Now we see guarantees all over the market.
Everywhere now. Yeah. Everywhere now. So what is your unique selling point now? And we've obviously evolved that since then. But you need to find your point of difference for any business, as you know.
Yeah.
And as we discussed earlier, if you're going to start a business, you can have a nice to have or I fucking need that.
Yeah.
And what you have, I need. The I needs always win. A nice to have, you're going to struggle to sell that product or service during very tough economic times.
Yeah, you're right. You need a starving market for the product, right?
Correct. So with our marketing agencies, people need what we have because they need leads for their business so they can grow. Or Removify, which is our business in Australia, which is it removes online content. So it could be a false Google review or a false Facebook review. We can remove that.
Yeah.
And if we don't remove that, that hurts their business and impacts their revenue.
Yeah.
That's a must-have service.
Oh, definitely. Like everyone's just checking reviews now before they buy from a business or even visit a restaurant these days.
Yeah, correct. On the way here, I was checking hotels in Sydney and a friend of mine recommended this hotel. I looked at the Google reviews. I said, I don't know. It's pretty ordinary reviews. She goes, no. I'm like, nah, the reviews say it's average. I'm not going to go there. So that's just cost them a few $1,000s. Even though it probably doesn't mean much to them. Yeah. That adds up over time.
And do you guys know how many sort of fake reviews there are?
About 20 to 30% are fake.
That's crazy.
From competitors, yeah. So that's why the service is such in demand.
Yeah. Because
there are so many fake reviews out there.
Yeah. Any other businesses that you've sort of invested in at the moment that are quite interesting?
I mean, it's actually due to the economic downturn globally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tech businesses that they're great tech businesses, but they need capital.
Yeah.
So invest in a tech business, 12 to 18 months ago, you would have been paying some crazy valuations. Now you can invest in a business for a fraction of the price. And they're a very good business if they can survive the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So we've just invested in a recruitment business, which I think is going to help. I think it's going to be a good business long term. But I'll be honest with you, mate, I still like agencies. We just bought a UGC agency in Australia.
Yeah.
And when I buy that agency, yes, I buy their revenue, but I also buy access to their clients.
Yeah.
So I can incorporate them into the group and then just say their client is Netflix, for example, as an example. They may be doing UGC for Netflix, but then potentially I can then say, Netflix, you need SEO, Google Ads, social media. And I then can offer that service to the client. So it's buying agencies, if it's done well and you've got the right person running the business, it's a very good business to have.
Yeah. And between tech companies or SaaS companies and agencies, where do you see the biggest opportunity and which one would you say is easier to run?
Okay. Agencies, I know agencies. So for me, they're much easier to run.
Yeah.
If you have, as you know,
good
people.
Yeah.
An agency that's run poorly, it's always due to the people. Tech businesses, and we discussed this earlier off camera, was AI. How many AI tools are coming into the market at the moment?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like you sent one this morning. I think someone sent one yesterday on our group chat.
Yeah.
There are so many AI tools coming. And I don't think, if you don't embrace AI in your business, you are going to get left behind.
Yeah, sure.
And especially in our game, an agency game.
Yeah. Do you see AI impacting people's jobs in the future?
Like guaranteed. Replacing? It's not even if, it's when.
When, yeah.
I think the way AI is progressing at the moment, if you don't embrace AI as a copywriter,
yeah,
you're going to get left behind. If you're a designer and you're not embracing AI,
yeah,
you may eventually become redundant to a degree, not completely,
yeah,
but you need to adapt it into what you do.
Yeah.
I don't think AI design is there yet, but I think give it 3 years,
yeah,
it will be. But copywriters, the AI at the moment it's next level.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's definitely going to replace a lot of jobs, but not completely. You know, people need to be able to integrate it into their workflows, what they do, in order to make them better marketers, especially within, let's say, the agency space.
Yeah. I think if you're a copywriter, I think you become more of an editor rather than an actual writer. This is just my prediction.
Yeah.
So, and a designer, I think you're almost, what do they call designers that just edit and review? But I think designing things from scratch eventually may become redundant.
Yeah.
I just think the way it's evolving, if you don't implement AI to improve efficiencies in your business, because at the moment, we're going to hire a business analyst who's going to come into our group of agencies and purely look for inefficiencies and go, okay, this piece of AI software is going to help improve this area of the business, and this is what it can do to your bottom line. Like, this is what we're doing right now. And I don't think if any businesses don't do that, I think in 24 months, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
You have your use by date, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of people, you know, having hired, fired, you know, people for the agencies, the different businesses, what would you say are things that you look for in people when you're doing interviews that, I guess, help you, or where have the best people come from, and how have you been able to tell that they were good?
Yeah, I'm just smiling because we've just implemented something in Australia. So on our job ads now, we ask what their high school score was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never look at that because I'm like, it's irrelevant. I was lazy. I didn't do well in school.
I agree, but you also, our two best junior AMs in Australia, so AMs is account servicing people, had an ATAR score. So basically like your high school score, which is out of 100, an ATAR score of 99.6. So for me, I like to hedge my bets. Yeah. If I'm going to hire someone who had 99 ATAR score versus someone who got a 57 ATAR score, and they both interview quite well, probably almost the same level, which one are you going to choose? Yeah. I'm going to choose the one that is proven to be hopefully very intelligent and works hard. Yeah. So we are looking at high school scores for juniors now. Yeah. Only because I want to hedge my bets. Yeah. That's the only reason. I'm with you. Like I had a terrible high school score. Yeah. And would I hire me at 19? Oh, it's questionable. But
yeah, what were your high school scores?
I'll tell you, it's 57.
57%?
Yeah, 57, yeah. Because I was one of those guys that went into the exam and was just looking at the time, when can I get out of here? Yeah. And just go drive the car that I just bought. And it wasn't a very nice car. It was just a crappy old 1978 Mazda. Yeah. But for example, Rimney, who's in our Australian office, you know Rimney. Yeah. She was at 99.4 ATAR. Yeah. And she went from an intern 12 months ago to now our global training coordinator within 12 months, had 3 promotions.
Wow. Yeah, she's doing amazing.
She's next level. So I want more people like Rimney within the company. Yeah. So when we interview people, you look for, are they going to fit the culture? Are they going to work hard? Like, to me, you've got to put the work in, man, especially in agencies. Yeah. Doing 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, 5 days a week, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. Yeah. If you want to scale, you've got to put the time in. This 4-hour work week business, if you want a proper large business, as you know, doing a few hours a week doesn't work. Yeah. So people that want to put the work in, people that are hungry, people that can read the room, so have common sense. Yeah. So basically very good EQ, and they're smart. The rest, we can teach them. Yeah. But I can't teach the common sense and the smarts and the hunger. Yeah. If you have that, you're going to do well.
And what are your thoughts on, I mean, you mentioned like people, working hard, productivity. How do you feel work from home is at the moment?
You're touching on this subject.
Sensitive subject?
It is a sensitive subject. How do I feel about work from home? Okay. With agencies, I find it's easier to collaborate and ask questions and move faster if we're under one roof. Yeah. So working from home, I've got to wait for them to check their Slack, or they've got to wait for me to check my Slack. If they have a question, I can't just go to the desk, or they can't come to mine. It's just, I find in agencies, you need to move fast, and it's a lot harder when everyone's working remote. So different businesses could be different. It's just, agencies, you need to move fast. But the problem is, if you do 4 days at home and then 1 day in the office, what happens when that 1 day people come into the office? They catch up on the weekend. Hey, I haven't seen you in a week. How you been?
Yeah.
So you've just lost an hour of them chit-chatting about, hey, how you been? It's been a week or so.
Yeah.
So it's good to have people in the office at least 3 to 4 days a week.
Yeah.
As a minimum in our game.
Yeah.
And then you have to offer work from home at the moment. Like it's you have to offer it.
Yeah.
But for pace and speed, for me, in the office.
Sure. And do you think?
How about yourself?
So here we have 3 days in the office. 2 days hybrid.
And what are your thoughts on it? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just
no. It's hard to tell the impacts of productivity. I mean, I still come to the office every single day. Yeah. I'm more productive here, working 5 days a week in the office, because I feel like I want to be around and see people working in the office, and that motivates me to work.
Yeah.
Sitting at home, there's actually my desk and computer is right next to a bed.
Yeah.
It's distracting. There's like a TV.
The old TV.
Yeah.
Don't let it get you.
Yeah. So it's just not a conducive work environment for me. But I know for a lot of people, they really benefit from it, right? Because they can focus. There's minimal distractions, which I think hybrid tends to lend itself to both worlds really well. And if people can learn to work in both environments effectively and use those opportunities, I think it really can work. Although I think, there's definitely an issue of productivity when people are working from home. I assume, there are people that obviously really do work. And there's some that might take it much more easier, right? Just being at home, because there's no one, I guess, around.
Yeah. Do you see that thing I sent you yesterday about the post someone did about working from home?
No.
How he goes, I've been working from home. I average 2 hours a day of work at home, and the rest of the time.
Oh yeah, and he was like, "Oh, the company can let me go if they want, but this is what I'm doing."
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to milk it as long as I can.
Yeah.
I just find working from home, if you're not disciplined, then you're easily distracted.
Yeah.
And some people are very disciplined, and they can work at home perfectly well.
Yeah.
Others cannot.
Yeah.
Or if you work at home and it's school holidays,
your
kids are at home screaming, running around. You're trying to work. How's that possible?
Yeah.
So there's challenges from working from home. So look, it's a touchy subject. I'm pro office.
Yeah.
But we do offer hybrid.
Yeah. What do you think of software to track people when they're work from home?
That's a very touchy subject. Yeah. Okay, someone's full-time remote. We are considering bringing in software to track their activity.
Yeah.
So actually, it's on our card. It's on the cards this week.
Yeah.
But we only have 3 people full-time remote, and to be honest, they're full-time remote. But
yeah, and you probably hardly see them in person, right? They're
a different country.
Different country, yeah.
Yeah, different country. So we're going to start tracking their activity.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, but they're just not hitting their KPIs.
Yeah.
But hybrid, we don't track we don't do screen grabs of the computer screen and that's what they're doing. But if someone's full-time remote, we're not Big Brother. But if someone's not performing, we go, hey.
Yeah.
But what we do is, in Australia, if someone's not performing, we've trained them, we've coached them. If they continue not to perform, they have to come into the office for a month full-time, 5 days a week for coaching.
Yeah.
Because when they're at home, they're not getting things done.
Yeah. And
we noticed when we implemented that, people started working harder.
Actually.
Yeah. We said, look, guys, if you're not hitting your KPIs, and we've told you multiple times, we've coached you, you're still not doing it, you have to come to the office 5 days a week for a month for coaching, because obviously you need more training. Yeah. All of a sudden, productivity increases, they're working harder. So, it's happened to a few people. Yeah. Yeah, someone's applying a bit of pressure tends to... Yeah, at the end of the day, the way I see it, we pay you to do a job. You take that money, we expect an outcome. Yeah. It's very black and white. Nothing's free in life. True? Yeah. Like, it's my job to grow the company, and I pay you to do a job. And I don't ask for any overtime. It's 9 to 5:30, and during those hours, I need you to work to an outcome, please.
I think I much prefer that approach of here's the outcomes that you're accountable for. You need to make sure that you hit them. Otherwise, why else are you here?
Correct.
Yeah.
And we say people in our company, they set their own deadlines. But if you start missing deadlines and don't tell us you're going to miss a deadline, that's when things become a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a touchy subject, the old hybrid and work.
Yeah.
But look at Elon. Everyone's coming back to the office.
Yeah. I think they
had
80% of their staff leave after he acquired Twitter.
But look at Twitter; it's still fucking running.
Yeah,
I think was it 80% left, and Twitter is now almost profitable. It hasn't gone offline, and now it's growing.
Yeah, I think I watched an interview with Elon, and
revenues are growing.
It was just absurdly overstaffed.
Crazy.
Yeah,
there's a video of a Twitter employee, and it basically talks about their day.
Yeah,
and they come in the morning, and they get a green juice, and then they do some yoga. And then they have a little chit chat with their colleague, and then at 1 o'clock is their first meeting in the afternoon. For about an hour, they sit in the meeting room, and then they go get another smoothie. Like this is a whole day's worth of work.
Yeah.
And for me, if that was my employee, I'm like, I'll be literally frothing at the mouth, going, just so much inefficiency in this business. Yeah. So no wonder you had to let people go. And look at the result. Always back a successful entrepreneur like Elon. Like he's an absolute beast.
Yeah. People
doubt his methods, but to be honest with you,
he's done a good job.
He always wins. Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter. What else you got? The Boring Company.
Yeah.
And what's the Solar City?
Yeah.
And Starlink. He's an absolute weapon.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of entrepreneurs like Elon, you yourself in your entrepreneurial journey, would you have any sort of advice for budding future entrepreneurs, people looking to start their own business?
People looking to start their own business, you've just got to start.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. As you know, too many people procrastinate.
Yeah.
So they
waiting for the perfect moment.
Perfect moment, perfect time. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
But I understand some people go, I've got financial responsibilities, I've got kids and a partner. You have to take them into account. But for me, when I start, as you know, I kind of think later and just jump straight in.
Yeah.
Which is probably sometimes to my detriment.
Yeah.
But I go all in and just go, let's just do this.
Yeah.
You just got to start. And then when you do start, you've got to surround yourself with very, very good people. As you and I both know, when you have the wrong person in the wrong position, the business just crumbles. You've got to surround yourself with very good people, and then from there you'll scale.
Yeah. And
invest in processes and systems.
Yeah.
If you do that, you'll generally scale the business.
Yeah. Any experiences worth sharing having somebody quite bad in the business and maybe making mistakes?
Oh, Mark, I've got loads of those.
The top one?
That I had the wrong person in the wrong position.
Any more stories?
Yeah, I've had many people steal from the business over the years. I had a GM that was
steal.
A GM who was using our staff, our resources, and even our cash at bank to pay for their media spend for their other side hustle. Yeah, I won't mention names, but he was basically using our Google ad spend that goes directly to Google to fund the ads for his other side hustle.
Yeah.
And when we found out, we're like, what have you been doing?
Yeah.
And then he goes, you caught me. You caught me. Couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Obviously had to let him go, but then the money, we couldn't recoup the money.
Yeah.
So
it's not like Google's gonna refund that, right?
No, Google doesn't give a shit. And I had a salesperson years ago that went off the grid and then came to my house one day.
Yeah.
Have I told you a story? Came to my house one day and said, look, my brother's in hospital. He's had a car accident.
Yeah.
He needs money. Can you help?
Yeah.
I said, how much do you need? I need $5,000. I said, he goes, I need it right now. Nick, have you got any cash on you? I said, I've probably got $2,500 in my bedroom. I'll go get it for you. And this salesperson hadn't worked for me for about a month.
Yeah.
But just rocked up he found out where I lived and just arrived at my house. Random. But when he worked for us, we had a good relationship. He left because he had some personal problems with his parents. This is what he told me. And I said, look, no problem, mate. Here's $2,500. Go look after your brother. And he goes, Nick, I'll pay you back in a week. A week, 2 weeks, a month. And then we got hold of his parents. His parents hadn't heard of him for years.
Yeah.
There was no brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it
you know how the story goes.
Yeah. So I've had a few challenges with staff, but I've also had some amazing people that have been with me for the journey. And I'd rather look at the amazing people than the ones that are just kind of piss me off, to be honest with you.
So, well, I guess, having gone through that, you do know now how to, I guess, identify the good people.
You got to read the room. Right? And I couldn't read the room early on.
Yeah.
So I was very naive and too trusting with people.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, earn the trust and then I will have you back for life.
Do you feel like it's just something that comes with experience and having gone through these situations?
Yeah. I know about you. I'm very trusting.
Yeah.
Probably too early. I've swayed a bit now.
Yeah.
And now it's, because once you see everything, you learn. And now with experience, I can say, something's not right with this person. My gut just goes, no. This is off. So I'm sure you're the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes with experience, man. I've been in this game for 14 years.
Yeah.
So, and 14 years in agency land is like 50 years in another business.
Yeah.
Because you see so many people, and remember, your average age is 23.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with young people that have a lot of personal issues.
Yeah.
And they tend to bring it to the office, and sometimes it's the Wild West.
Yeah.
So it's been challenging, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. And how do you keep yourself well, having gone through, all the stress of building agencies?
I'll be honest with you. Now I think I've seen most things now. Nothing really phases me.
Yeah.
Back in the early days, I'd lose my head.
Yeah.
I'd be doing this and rah, 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 rah. Now I'm very cool, calm, collected in the office. Like things are blowing up. I'm like, that's okay. We'll get through it. This is a plan of attack.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it before.
Yeah.
And that comes with time. But in the early days, I was like huffing and puffing around the office, running around. You saw it back in the days. Yeah, I did. And you just, I know, you just got to breathe.
It was a daily occurrence.
Yeah, literally.
We're just waiting for
websites offline. Fucking shit's blowing up. I don't know, man. As I get older, and you're the same, you become a lot calmer.
Yeah, that's good. And what's next for you? I mean, having a significant net worth now, building all these businesses, investing in them. What's next for you?
So probably we're going to continue to buy and launch new agencies.
Yeah. In
Australia and internationally.
Yeah.
We're looking at Europe this year. So we're thinking, okay, how do we get to 30 agencies and then 50?
Yeah.
There's a business called Media Monks that's owned by S4 Capital.
Yeah.
Who are basically, S4 Capital is owned by Sir Martin Sorrell, who bought Media Monks and then listed the business. I think it's probably worth a few billion now on the UK stock exchange, I think it is. Potentially an IPO down the track. But if I IPO, I'm not going to back away from the business. I'm going to continue to run this until I die or until I become irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think you got to work out when you stop adding value to the business, you need to step back.
Yeah.
And the day that happens, if someone Nick taps me on the shoulder and says, "You're a dinosaur. You're not adding value," and then I'll step back.
Yeah.
But I'll just keep running the agencies and see where we can take it.
Yeah, sure. And having done business in Asia and looking at places like Europe,
Asia's hard.
What would you say the key differences are?
I find doing business in Asia, especially countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, it's very challenging, as you know. Whereas doing business, say, Singapore is a lot easier because it's a lot more developed.
Yeah.
The government is a lot easier to deal with in more developed, westernized countries.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not going to do any more Asian businesses. We are going to do Indonesia. But other than that, I don't know, man. Unless you say yes, it's just Asia's hard.
Yeah.
And they still pay with bank checks here.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to invest in getting Europe off the ground.
Yeah.
And then Canada and the US.
Sure.
So same with Central and South America. It's difficult over there.
Yeah.
You need very good people on the ground that you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah. I think timing plays a big part as well. Like how developed a country is, when that's going to happen.
Look at Vietnam for us.
Yeah. So we went into Vietnam. That was a significant investment. Just didn't work out. Didn't have the right people, I don't feel. And also the market was just not, it was very difficult. We didn't localize enough, and there was a bit of corruption over there as well.
And the person running the business, it was an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
Tell them a story about how we had a client, we overspent on 200,000.
Oh, right. Yeah. So this is a war story for Primal. We had our agency in Vietnam, and, I get a phone call that, one of our account managers comes to me who's looking after this client saying, "Hey, Mark, what's the budget for this client in Vietnam?" And I was like, "Oh, it's around 5,000 euros or something like that per month." And they say, "Oh, well, we can see the spending, it's gone up to about, 100,000 euros last month. Is that correct?" I'm like, "No, it's not." Looking deeper, our team there had like overspent by 100,000 euros, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, it's just, it was terrible. We went to the client. They had a lot of media budget with us, and fortunately enough, they accepted that we would. So we refunded the money back to them, and they said, "Look, the relationship's done. You've given our money back. That's fine, but having worked with, let's say, an agency in Europe, this would have never happened." And that was just like the nail in the coffin for us and running the business there. And we closed it down. So
100,000 euros is 200,000 Australian dollars. And Mark and I had to use our own money to refund the customer, because in the day it was our fault.
Yeah.
We stuffed up.
Yeah.
But the person who was running the business, who was meant to be accountable for it, was like, nah, it's not our fault. I'm like, "Mate, it's our fault."
Yeah.
And Mark and I had jumped on a call and said, "Let's shut this shit down.
Yeah.
Let's shut it down," because the person's just not capable of running the business.
Yeah.
So that's why agencies are very fickle. If they're done poorly, first of all, they won't scale, and you'll just burn the customer.
Yeah.
So we made a decision to shut it down within 24 hours.
Yeah. Still hurts.
Yeah, no, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about it.
It was a very good lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now when we launch a new agency, we always promote within.
Yeah.
So we never go external now for a GM or a senior person within the company. The reason being, people who have been with us a long time know how we operate. They understand our processes, and they generally work with speed. And then from there, we go, okay, if I put you into a GM role, I know that you're going to do well because you've been trained for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And then generally they excel.
Yeah. Promoting from within has just been such a game changer for us, having brought external people into leadership positions.
We keep doing the same. We keep doing it. We just keep getting screwed over.
Yeah.
So a few lessons have been learned. And then Mark and I discussed earlier today that moving forward, no more external GMs. It's always going to be within the business.
Yeah, completely agree. So I think that's pretty much it. Anything else worth sharing with?
No, mate, that was good. Thanks for the chat as always.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
You coming in.
Mate, I flew all the way from Australia for this. Literally. I just came for this 1 hour podcast all the way to Bangkok from Melbourne.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nick. And that's it. Thank you.